Hi, this is Energy Conversations at Rams Logistics. We are the AmCham's 27th Annual HSE Conference. My name is Jamal Allen, the HSE Manager for Rams Logistics, and I'm happy to be joined with Mr. Ron Adams, the CEO of Atlantic LNG. Mr. Adams, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, Jamal. Pleasure to be here.
So for our viewers, can you give us a little bit of information about yourself?
Oh, wow. So, Ron Adams, been in the energy sector all my life. That's over 31 years. If I go back before that, started my schooling at a great institution, Queen's Royal College, which I'm always so proud of. Was educated, my first degree at University of the West Indies, where I pursued chemical engineering. Graduated in 1992, if I recall, and immediately started in the Point Lisas Industrial Estate at one of the long-standing ammonia and urea complexes. So that's where my career started. I spent a few years there as a young process engineer, then went across to another facility, which would have been in a evolving iron and steel process at the time, and a new technology. And I had the opportunity there to be with that company from construction into startup. I had the privilege to run a shift, so I was able to move fairly early in my career from engineering into operations, and really honed a lot of my skills and knowledge of the plants by bridging that gap between the schooling with engineering, but also the practical applications of operations. And then from there, I moved on to work for a U.S. company in business development in what I call specialty chemical sales. So I was the country manager for that U.S.-based company, and grew the business in Trinidad and the Caribbean, growing the chemicals business in the Point Lisas area, in the Petrochem refinery at the time, and even at Trinma down in the deep south, and across the Caribbean, the English and Dutch speaking territories. So what that really offered me was the opportunity to see the other side of the business, the operator side as well as the service sector side. And then I came back onto the operator side, spent 5 years at Trinma, then moved on to the National Gas Company, where I was operations manager at the NGC CNG at the time. Moved across to the parent and became the vice president operations at NGC. Did that for approximately 4 years before moving on to Shell. And I've been with Shell really for the last 4.5 years. I spent the first 2 years of Shell in the upstream environment of Shell. And for the last almost 2.5 years, I've been seconded to Atlantic as the CEO of Atlantic. Of course, Shell is currently the largest shareholder at Atlantic. So in that capacity, I operate as the CEO of Atlantic, but I'm really a Shell employee. But very much excited to have been given the opportunity to lead Atlantic for the last couple of years. Very, very proud of what Atlantic has been able to do, and really thankful to have been given the opportunity. In fact, as the first local, the first national to be the CEO at Atlantic. So I sometimes forget that, but I'm regularly and often reminded of the importance of what that has meant to many locals, to many Trinidadians. So for what it's worth, I've demonstrated that it can be done, and I hope that I continue to make the nationals of Trinidad and Tobago proud.
Wow, extensive CV there. And definitely, as you said, the first local CEO. I do remember for myself personally, when you were announced as the CEO, it was a sense of pride.
Yes.
So I could definitely say it was a sense of pride for a lot of people when you were announced as the local CEO of Atlantic.
Thank you so much.
Now, given your wealth of expertise and where you sit as the CEO of Atlantic, where do you see the current state of LNG? What is the current state of LNG, and where do you see it over the next decade or so?
Yeah, so it's an excellent question, and I spoke a bit about that at the opening session at the conference this morning. So, of course, The globe is going through the energy transition as we seek for cleaner fuels to help sustain the environment, to help sustain the world in which we live. And so there's a drive, obviously, to increase the use of renewable energy. However, we are still very much bedded to fossil fuels, and so it's going to be a journey, and that's why it's called a transition. Very importantly is natural gas, and by extension, our product, liquefied natural gas, is the cleanest burning fossil fuel. And such it has been well documented, it is well accepted that natural gas and LNG will continue to play a very key role as part of that energy transition. So that really places Atlantic and all LNG producers in a good place. Specific to Trinidad, Atlantic in that, as a result of that, is going to continue to play a key role as an enabler in terms of the economy of Trinidad and Tobago, in terms of the value that we bring to the shareholders of Atlantic. So there's a great future for natural gas. There's a great future for liquefied natural gas, and by extension, a great future for Atlantic and the economy and the people of Trinidad and Tobago.
Sounds promising. Glad to hear. Now, speaking a little bit about sustainability, because it is one of the focal points of this conference, and ESG as a whole has gathered a lot of attention recently with climate change. Where's Atlantic's position with regards to sustainability? I know I would have read an article where you would have spoken about what Atlantic could control at present with regard to sustainability and the aging plant, and using digitization and your current systems like Artemis that you guys are currently using.
Yes.
To manage those systems. How is sustainability driving Atlantic's direction moving forward?
So sustainability is key, and it's key for any serious organization or any organization that intends to have a sustainable business. Atlantic is no different. In fact, we, over the last 2 years, we developed our 5-year strategic plan, and under my leadership and the leadership of the current leadership team, we've been able to get that strategy approved, and it's based on 5 pillars. One of the key pillars is actually called the environment and sustainability, and there's a reason for that, is that we see that to be able to continue to grow and to prosper, to remain competitive, we have to keep a focus on environment, and we've tied that to our sustainability agenda. And from a sustainability standpoint, we've been doing a lot for the last 2 decades, and we see sustainability as encompassing, our environmental footprint, our environmental aspects, and what we're doing to continue to be an environmentally responsible organization. Our focus on the social aspects, we've been supporting the Point Fortin Southwestern Peninsula. We've been supporting the youth. We've been supporting small businesses. We've really been giving back to the environment in which we've existed. We see that as being important. We focus on the entire nation, but we see it as a key responsibility to ensure that the environment that hosts us, that houses us, is well taken care of. And we support that environment not just by handouts or giveaways, but by training folks, by helping folks and encouraging folks to embark on sustainable agenda items. Whether you have a small business and you need funding, we are there to support you with that. In fact, we've had a long-standing program called LEND, which is exactly that. We've been actually supporting small entrepreneurs who have a great business idea by funding them and giving them really amenable payment terms. And we've really done great with that, and we've seen folks grow from really, really small businesses and are now doing exceptionally well.
Interesting.
So it takes time and effort to do that, but that's what we're about. And finally, of course, in terms of governance, we are very strong in our governance principles. Atlantic is structured and is really run on the basis of the support of key shareholders. And so everything that we do is based on having solid governance principles. And we intend to continue to hold very firm to that. We're very proud of the reputation that we have and the standards that we've set. And we are consistent in that regard. And we are very supportive of our shareholders, both Shell, BP, and of course the National Gas Company. So we see ESG and what we've been doing as very, very important for what we do now and the pathway and the focus that we set for the next few decades for Atlantic.
Nice. Now, as we speak about sustainability and ESG, that focus is for the future and our next generation, being the youth. How has Atlantic committed to developing the youth of Trinidad and Tobago?
That's an excellent question. Atlantic has been focusing on the youth for a long time, and I'll probably just touch on maybe two of the programs that we've been so very, very proud of. We've had a program called Atlantic's, the Point Fortin's Finest. And what we've done is we've selected young pupils from the primary school age group, taking them through and supported them all the way through to high school up to university. And I think Atlantic is perhaps, if I'm not mistaken, the only company that actually adopted that model. So if you think about it, we've taken a group of kids and really supported them all the way through those critical institutions and that very important part of their growth and their life. And we've been doing this for many, many years. So, we're very proud of these folks. Some of them graduated already and come back and they share with us how very important that support has been, and then the parents as well. And, we've just restarted post the pandemic our graduate trainee program. And I know many other organizations do this, but we really focus on giving the young graduates from the universities all the practical exposure that they can really ask for. One of the things that I've been very sensitive to is our education system. We've done very well at passing exams and we do great at that. But what we're really looking for is to build on that. We want thinkers, critical thinkers, entrepreneurs. And so we've tried to infuse in the opportunities that we present for those graduates within the organization. We give them all the support that they can to convert and to make them better applicators of what they've done and what they've gained out of the university. That's what we need as a country. We have enough folks who pass exams and who have all the papers, speaking frankly, but we want more critical thinkers, and that's a critical aspect of what we've infused as part of the program for our graduate trainees.
Nice. Now, Mr. Adams, taking it back to the conference, Atlantic has maintained title sponsorship for quite some years now. Why have you all chosen to maintain this commitment to AmCham and HSE specifically?
I think it's a great opportunity for us to demonstrate what we've been saying for all stakeholders in the energy sector for many, many years, which is it's not just about profits, it's not just about revenue. It's about doing that in a responsible manner, doing that in a safe manner. And we found that the AmCham has done a great job of building this conference to what I would call a world-class conference over the years.
Definitely.
And so our humble way of demonstrating our reflection on the great job that they've done is to continue to support them. It gives us an excellent opportunity to share every year, to continue to participate. We are getting a chance to see all aspects of the value chain, the contractors, the operators, the HSSC professionals, the young ones who are thinking about a career. Every year we sit, we participate, as I did today from on the stage, and I interacted with many folks in the audience. And I'm absolutely convinced that this is growing, it's getting better, we're making an impact. And I could ask for nothing else but for Atlantic to continue to play a key part in this very, very important conference, which is making a big difference. We still have work to do. We still have too many incidents and accidents, but it's a journey. And where we have gaps, it is these types of interactions, these opportunities for us to figure out where we're still making errors and where we're still making mistakes and how we can improve. This is the kind of forum that allows that. and we see it as an important part to continue to play a role in that regard.
Nice. Now, I know you've been here since morning.
Yes.
You've been speaking a lot. One last question. Atlantic being based in the Point 14 area, how is the new highway treating you?
We've been looking forward to that highway for a long time. I've already visited the plant a couple times, and I leave the north of the island very early in the morning, and sometimes you get there and just the drive on the old roads, you feel tired by the time you get there. Now I feel a lot more refreshed. So it's great that we are expanding the infrastructure across the island, and certainly to a part of the island where there's such critical energy infrastructure, Petrotrin, now Heritage, Atlantic, etc., so other service providers. So it's great that we have that. The one thing I would say is I do hope that folks temper the excitement in terms of driving on the highway and still be safe. We've already had incidents there, and we're sorry about that, but we do hope that everyone takes care on the road. And as the sign says, we want everyone to arrive alive. Yes.
Well, Mr. Adams, thank you very much for your time.
You're most welcome.
We enjoyed the rest of the conference.
It's been a pleasure.
Likewise.